Welcome to In the Zone with yours truly, Anthony Smith. A lot of football action over the weekend. But I want to start things off talking a little bit of WNBA hoops. No, we're not talking about Caitlin Clark. We're not even talking about Angel Reese. But we're talking about an established star who, if y'all haven't been paying attention or have been blinded by the, as some would call it, the Caitlin Clark effect, let me take the blinders off, because South Carolina basketball legend A'ja Wilson becomes WNBA's first. Let me run this back again. South Carolina basketball legend A'ja Wilson becomes WNBA's first 1,000-point scorer. Yep, you heard that right. South Carolina basketball alum A'ja Wilson continues to do things that have never been done before in women's professional basketball. A'ja Wilson became the WNBA's most prolific single-season scorer ever last week. And on Sunday, the South Carolina basketball alum extended her record-breaking mark by becoming the WNBA's first 1,000-point scorer in an 84-71 win over the Connecticut Sun, the Las Vegas Aces' seventh in a row. Wilson went off for 29 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks, and she made over 50% of her shots from the field and turned the ball over 0 times. It seemed like talking about turnovers has been very synonymous with one individual in particular, not with this one. While playing her usual brand of lockdown defense on the other end of the floor. Can you say that she is the complete, total package? The game was another chapter in the greatest season in the history of women's professional basketball. Not only has Wilson broken the season scoring record, but she will have the most points per game in league history as well. And in her next game, she will break Angel Reese's record for most rebounds in a single season. Wilson also leads the dub in block shots and block shots per game and is top 7 in the league in field goal efficiency, despite having an absurdly high usage rate, one of just 2 players with a usage rate over 30%. Her 35.2 per player efficiency rating will shatter the all-time best mark as well. A'ja Wilson will win her 3rd MVP award when this season ends and is the clear favorite for WNBA Defensive Player of the Year too. She also has her Aces squad playing their best ball heading into the WNBA postseason. The playoffs begin in about a week. Vegas won the previous 2 WNBA finals and are one of the favorites to win again, a victory that would make them just the second franchise ever to win 3 championships in a row. Houston Comets won the first 4 WNBA finals titles in a row from 1997 to 2000. So I just wanted to get things started with a little bit of WNBA talk, something that wasn't for once Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese. It just goes to show there are others in the WNBA that are also setting standards. So, A'ja Wilson, we want to say to you, congratulations on this magnificent feat. Doing something that hasn't been done and doing something that can't be taken away from you. I say for that, she deserves this right here. So we are going to move right along and look at some other things that have taken place over the weekend. Maybe a little bit of college football top 25 scores, because there was some football played over the weekend, and being in the zone means you're going to get nothing but the best in national news, national sports. So like I said, we started off with a little bit of WNBA, and now we're going to move on to possibly a look at the top 25 as it played out over the weekend. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day as we get things kicked off in grand fashion, as it was week 3. And basically what we're going to do, not even the top 25 in particular, we're just going to give you the rundown of some scores as we see here. UCF, who's supposed to be a contender in the Big 12. Well, let me start right here. Houston came away with a resounding victory for their first win of the year, knocking off Rice by the score of 33-7. UCF, which is University of Central Florida, who's supposed to be a player in the Big 12, looks to be improved, knocked off TCU, giving them their first loss by a score of 35-34. North Carolina took on North Carolina Central, and this game was basically a squash game as North Carolina remains undefeated, knocking off North Carolina Central by the score of 45-10. Georgia Southern took on South Carolina State, and these are, I do believe, some of the HBCU schools, as Georgia Southern knocks off South Carolina State 42-14. Florida Atlantic, a member of the Big 12, knocks off Florida International by the score of 38-20 to pick up their first win of the season. Ohio University knocks off Morgan State 21-6. Cincinnati, now 2-1, knocks off their state rival Miami of Ohio by the score of 27-16. And Texas Tech rolled North Texas by the score of 66-21. And now what I think I want to do is take a look at some sports news. In transfer happy era, Arch Manning's patience finally gets rewarded. Arch Manning has bucked every trend in recruiting, and it is working to his favor. In a world of instant gratification or head to the transfer portal, Manning has patiently waited behind Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers, and when called upon, like in his breakout performance Saturday night after Ewers went down with an oblique strain, Manning was there to deliver. The number one prospect in the 2023 Rivals 250, Manning had 5 total touchdowns, including a majestic 67-yard run in Texas's 56-7 route of UTSA. Manning's first throw of the game was on a 19-yard touchdown pass to DeAndre Moore, where the 5-star quarterback rolled to his right and found Moore, who got into the end zone. On his long touchdown run, Manning took the run-pass option, juked UTSA defensive back Elliot Davidson out of his shoes, and then accelerated past the other defenders to get into the end zone, making sure to look back and maybe share a few words as he walked into the end zone. Real analytics clocked Manning at 20.7 miles per hour on that run, faster than some NFL wide receivers last week. Manning kept pouring it on. A dump off to Alabama transfer Isaiah Bond went for a 51-yard touchdown. He got sandwiched by two UTSA blitzers but still found a wide open Ryan Wingo for a 75-yard score. And Manning threw a nice 12-yard touchdown pass to Jonte Cook from the other hash into the back of the end zone. Maybe his nicest throw of the night went to Wingo again as Manning rolled to his left and threw across his body to the Texas receiver for another big gain down the field. It's always hard to have a backup that doesn't really have a ton of experience, Texas coach Steve Sarkisian said. Arch was really our third guy last year, the bulk of the season, and didn't get a ton of experience. When he went into spring ball, we thought, okay, Quinn is the starter, but we have to make sure Arch is ready to play, and you never know when that could happen. You go back to the spring game, and that was the reasoning behind what we did. Arch basically played the whole game with one offense, and Trey Owens played the whole game with the two offense just to get some experience. We take a lot of price in our practice and competitive and going good on good and things of that nature to make as many game-like situations as we can. But there's nothing like being in a game and playing in front of 105,000 people is not the easiest thing to do. The challenging part with Manning's ranking was not that we didn't see talent, but to literally see the talent. In a class filled with five-star quarterbacks, some hits, some misses so far, Manning landed in the number one spot not only at the position but overall, despite no camps, no Elite 11, no Rivals Camp Series events. He showed up at the Manning Passing Academy, but that's not worth much to us. He didn't play 7-on-7, some showings with his New Orleans, Louisiana, Isidore Newman team, but nothing on a national level. Nothing against top-end competition. Nothing like all the others who toured the country throwing at numerous events and backing up their status. Nico Lama-Liava and Malachi Nelson were regulars at 7-on-7s and had a shootout for the books at one Rivals Camp Series event in Los Angeles. Dante Moore and Jackson Arnold weren't as regular on the national scene, but they did all the big events. We covered some of Manning's high school games, but that only gives a limited look. We also took in Isidore Newman's basketball. Manning dunked in a warm-up as then Alabama coach Nick Saban looked on. Whether it was his doing or he was taking advice from his father, grandfather, or two famous uncles, Peyton and Eli, Manning worked through the recruiting process totally differently. He didn't choose a school where he would play from day one or from day two. Manning has taken his time, developed, gotten better, and picked playing for a coach who's a genius offensive mind. Maybe Ewers comes back soon, takes over the starting job again, and Manning waits more. He seems fine with it. In a college football landscape where no one waits for success, not players, not coaches, not administrators, Manning has waited, and he seems fine with it. His style is not the norm, but it's certainly working out for the five-star phenom who showed a little of what he can do on Saturday night. So tell you what I'm going to do right here. I am going to take a break. And when I come back, we're going to dive into some more news. So don't you dare go nowhere. You're locked in the zone with Anthony on a Monday evening. Welcome back to In the Zone with yours truly, Anthony Smith, on a Monday. And we got some more news to give you. Those of you who've seen the hit that Tua Tagovailoa took last week, and I'm still baffled because in that situation, you're taught to slide. I never want to see my quarterback going head first against a defender. You sympathize with Tua, but at the same time, you stop and think, why didn't he slide? If he didn't slide, we wouldn't have this report right here. Because the Dolphins are signing former Pro Bowl QB Tyler Huntley per report. The Miami Dolphins are signing former Pro Bowl quarterback Tyler Huntley from the Baltimore Ravens practice squad, according to Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network. Huntley, 26, has spent most of his career with the Ravens, although he did spend this offseason with the Cleveland Browns before rejoining Baltimore as a member of the practice squad earlier this month. In the last 4 seasons, Huntley appeared in 20 games and made 9 starts. He has 8 career touchdown passes and 7 interceptions with 3 rushing touchdowns. In 2022, Huntley earned Pro Bowl honors, albeit as an alternate, after taking over for Lamar Jackson late in the year and helping Baltimore make the postseason. He started the Ravens playoff game too, but a 98-yard fourth quarter fumble return for the Cincinnati Bengals led to a first-round exit for Baltimore. The Dolphins were in the market for another passer with Tua Tagovailoa sideline due to a concussion suffered Thursday night. Tagovailoa reportedly has no plans to retire, and Dolphins plan to turn to Skylar Thompson as the next man up, but the team still needed another passer to add to the mix. Speaking of Tua, as you just heard, he has no plans to retire. Tua Tagovailoa reportedly has no plans to retire, working to return. Amid plenty of speculation about what Tua Tagovailoa should do with his career after another scary concussion, he's reportedly not thinking about anything other than getting back on the field with the Miami Dolphins. My understanding is that Tua Tagovailoa has no plans to retire, Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reported Sunday morning. In fact, his eyes are already on returning to the field. As far as when that comes, we simply do not know. He has already begun the process of seeing concussion specialists, as he did in 2022. The goal is to get back on the field when he is ready. Tagovailoa, 26, told reporters in April 2023 that multiple concussions during the 2022 season led him to consider retirement, but he decided against it. It's my health, it's my body, Tagovailoa told reporters at the time. And I feel like this is what's best for me and my family. I love the game of football. If I don't, I would have quit a long time ago. Instead, the quarterback added weight in the 2023 offseason and did martial arts training aimed at lessening the impact of his head. He played a 17-game season without a significant injury and earned Pro Bowl honors with the NFL leading 4,624 passing yards. Injury suffered by Tagovailoa on Thursday night is the 4th diagnosed concussion for the quarterback in the last 5 years. So the question is, as we play with somebody else's career and speculate about somebody else's career, do you think Tua Tagovailoa is making the right decision not to retire? Because at the end of the day, we as armchair people, we can sit back and say, that looks scary. And like me, I'm still asking the question, why didn't he slide? Sliding would have been the safer option. Quarterbacks are taught to slide right before you take contact. Save yourself. I can't help but to think if you run that play back and he slides, I believe he still gets the first down, but at the same time, he doesn't take a direct blow to the head because he leaned in with his head. If you look at the play again, he literally went head first against the defender. How ironic! It was the same young man that had the cardiac arrest on the field, Damar Hamlin. So imagine what's going through Damar Hamlin's mind seeing this unfold, knowing what he just went through. Yes, a scary situation, to say the least. But at the end of the day, it's Tua's decision. All we can do is wish him nothing but the best of luck. And hopefully he can find a way to play the game safe. I mean, you hate to see a quarterback make a move like that. Speaking more on Tua, the Dolphins reportedly have a $49.3 million insurance policy in Tua Tagovailoa deal. In the event that Tua Tagovailoa is forced to medically retire from football in the wake of another scary concussion, the Miami Dolphins would be on the hook for a significant percentage of the $212.4 million deal the quarterback signed less than 2 months ago. However, the team would get a good chunk of money back thanks to an insurance policy baked into the contract. According to Over the Cap, the Dolphins included a $49.3 million insurance policy in the deal that would pay out if the team is forced to pay Tagovailoa his $167.1 million injury guarantee. It should be noted, though, that the scenario seems unlikely to come to fruition. While a course of people around the NFL have urged retirement for Tagovailoa, the choice to do so appears firmly in the quarterback's court. The massive injury guarantee would come only into play if Tagovailoa isn't medically cleared to return to the field. There is no magic number of concussions to require retirement, Chris Nowinski of the Concussion Legacy Foundation told NPR. It all depends on how he recovers from this one, but having too many concussions can lead to chronic symptoms and mental health disorders. While the long-term health of Tagovailoa warrants discussion, it still seems unlikely that a doctor would tell the Dolphins quarterback that he is no longer allowed to play. So, once again, what are your thoughts? We already know that he does not plan to retire, but it doesn't stop us from thinking. So, if I'm the Miami Dolphins organization, especially if I'm the coach, now it becomes my job and my duty to protect the player from his own self. If I'm the coach, win, lose, or draw, I'm going down fighting with Skylar Thompson. If push comes to shove, we bring in Tyler Huntley from Baltimore's practice squad and bring him up to speed. If things don't work out with Skylar and we're still in contention for playoffs, I just might go with Tyler Huntley. But as far as Tua, to protect him from his own self, buddy, if you see the football field, it's going to be in mop-up duty after we know we got the playoffs clinched, just so you can get the stand ovation from the fans. That's it. Bottom line. I'm not going to rush you out there, and the next concussion could be your last concussion. Sometimes, as administrators and as coaches, you have to protect the player from his own reckless abandon. I'm pretty sure he wants to have kids if he don't have kids. He wants to have a wife if he doesn't have a wife. I'm pretty sure he wants to be a dad in good mental capacity for his children and for his wife. And as a coach, I think it would be my duty and my due diligence to protect him from himself and say, look, I'm shutting you down. Get yourself right. Come back strong next year. But this decision that we have made, you still getting your pay and all this insurance stuff you see loaded into his contract. Sometimes you just have to get a player out of the way of his own self. Bottom line, that's the bottom line. You stop and think about when Kevin Durant had the Achilles heel problem, and he was out the last part of the season, tried to come back in, and what you know, bam, there he goes again. Sometimes you have to be the guardian angel. And who's to say Miami's not thinking about doing that? Coach McDaniel has a lot to think about. I'm not him, and I'm glad I'm not him, but if I was him. And no, I'm not going to even say that. I'm not going to say if I was him, because if I was him, I would be doing exactly what he's doing. And right now, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's thinking. So if it's me, this is my quarterback. I value him, not only for the short term, but for the long term. You're out indefinitely. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. You're out indefinitely. Enjoy the rest of this year off. Anyway, I think I've rambled on about two of this whole section. I think now it's time to move in a different direction. So we're going to take this break right here. And when we come back, we'll find something else to talk about. Don't you worry about it. You know you're locked in the zone. With yours truly, Anthony Smith. Be right back. Welcome back to In the Zone for another segment. One that may be my final segment. One thing that has really shaped the landscape of pro sports and college to some extent is bets. That's right. And there were some angry people. Some who were angry with one Josh Jacobs. And we are going to pull up some Josh Jacobs story. Now, the one thing you need to know is, in the game yesterday, in his first game, to par, Josh Jacobs, first of all against Philadelphia, 16 carries, 84 yards, 5.3 yards a carry. Then in the game yesterday against the Indianapolis Colts, he rushed 32 times for 151 yards in the Packers' 16-10 win over the Colts on Sunday. But he also lost 2 fumbles. So let's take a look at the reaction from the betting side of things. Because Josh Jacobs fumbled on the goal line to devastate his touchdown prop bettors twice in one half. Josh Jacobs was outstanding for the Green Bay Packers in their Week 2 game Sunday against the Indianapolis Colts. He ran for 151 yards on 32 carries to lift the team to victory, with starting quarterback Jordan Love missing in action. The only thing Jacobs was missing was a touchdown, but it wasn't for lack of opportunity. Jacobs nearly scored on a 4-yard carry in the second quarter, but he had the ball punched out of his hands just before crossing the goal line. Instead of putting the Packers up 17-0, it was a turnover in the end zone. That was the second touchdown Jacobs missed out on after he had a 20-yard score nullified by a holding penalty the previous drive. As you can imagine, people who bet on Jacobs' anytime TD prop and those who had Jacobs in their fantasy lineups weren't particularly happy about falling short after coming so close twice. Both missed opportunities came in the first half, and Jacobs never came close again. Matter of fact, here's some of the sentiments that were shared on X from at Brandon Reed. Come on, Josh Jacobs. That's 2 times screwed now on TDs, holding on to first, and now a fumble. SMH. At Sinks Scores. Josh Jacobs fumbles going for a TD on the 3-yard line. I slammed him. That's the only reason that happened. How do they know who I bet and make sure it doesn't hit? This is a weekly thing where it's not a coincidence anymore. So those were some of the comments from the Josh Jacobs fumble. And I mean, the comments just go on. Josh Jacobs, I need that TD for fantasy. Do you think these players really care about people's fantasy points, though? Here's another one from at Plastic Funds. Anytime Josh Jacobs TD might go down as the worst beat of the weekend. I wonder if that meant bet. Sometimes I wonder if English was not a strong point for some of these people that post on X being keyboard warriors. I started the show off with college football scores, and what I want to do is I want to go ahead end on college football rankings. The college football rankings, Big Ten teams, and updated coaches poll AP Top 25 after Week 3. The Big Ten bounced back in Week 3 of the college football season with several teams picking up wins. Number 7, Oregon's offense behind preseason Heisman Trophy candidate Dylan Gabriel came to life as the Ducks beat Oregon State 49-14. Gabriel threw for 291 yards and 2 touchdowns and also had 64 yards rushing and another score against the former Pac-12 rival. Number 17, Michigan, 2-1, bounced back at the Big House against Arkansas State as senior running back Khalil Mullins ran for a career-high 153 yards with 2 touchdowns in the 28-18 win over the Red Wolves. It wasn't all great for the Big Ten, however. Number 22, Washington lost its Apple Cup rivalry game against Washington State as the Huskies fell 24-19 to the Cougars. Iowa had to rally from a halftime deficit to beat Troy 38-21. You notice something, though? Seems like this year they're putting up points. Has anyone noticed that? I think they scored 40 points in the game already. Now these done scored 38. They were held to 20, I do believe, last week against Iowa State. But they're scoring points this year. Because last year they were the laughing stock. Only thing good that came out of Iowa was the rookie tight end at Detroit, Sam Laporta. But anyway, a much more competitive result than Wisconsin's 42-10 loss to number 4 Alabama at Camp Randall Stadium in Madison. Here's a look at how those games are reflected in the Week 4 USL WNBA Coaches Poll and AP Top 25 rankings. The AP Top 25. If we can pull that up. If we can't, we will just move on. And I believe we are about to get that right here. So coming in at number 1, no doubt, a no-brainer, Georgia. Coming in number 2, Texas. Number 3, Ohio State. Number 4, Alabama. Number 5, Ole Miss. Number 6, Oregon. Number 7, Tennessee. Tied for 8th, Missouri and Penn State. Coming in at 10, Utah. Number 11, Miami. Number 12, USC. Number 13, Oklahoma. Number 14, Kansas State. Number 15, Oklahoma State. Number 16, LSU. Number 17, Michigan. Number 18, Notre Dame. Number 19, Clemson. Number 20, Louisville. Number 21, Iowa State. Number 22, moving up the rankings, Nebraska. Number 23, Memphis. How about them Tigers from Memphis? They're clawing their way up. Number 24, Texas A&M. And the team that went on the road to Lawrence knocked off the Kansas Jayhawks. Number 25, those running Rebels out of UNLV. And some are saying this could be a special season for them. Could they run the table in their conference and run it undefeated? Maybe crash the bowl party. Remains to be seen. Anyway, that is going to do it for me on this Monday evening. Hope you enjoy being in the zone with yours truly, Anthony Smith. By all means, there is a section where you can leave some comments on the what is called the Spreaker podcast app. You can download that. Follow me, and every time I drop a podcast, you'll get a notification. Share it with your friends. But leave me your feedback. I would love to see your feedback. I love the followership, but I also love the feedback and interaction. So until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Yours truly, Anthony Smith. God bless. We'll be back tomorrow to recap the NFL.